Let me first of all, once again, say Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, everyone. This week's Torah portion includes the phrase, Tzedek, Tzedek Tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue. To reflect on that idea of justice, and as we've entered into the month of Elul, to start that process of reflecting on our lives, a mashal, a story for all of us. There once was a Jew who went out into the world to seek justice. He saw people mistreating each other. He saw people mistreating animals as well. And somewhere he was certain true justice must exist, but he had never found it. So he set out on a quest. He went from town to town and village to village searching for justice. But it eluded him. He never found it. Now, it happened when he was deep in a forest. He arrived in a little hut in a clearing, and through the window, he could see many flickering flames, and he wondered, what are all those fires that are burning? He knocked on the door, but there was no answer. He knocked again, nothing. At last, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. As soon as he entered the cottage, the man realized that it was much larger on the inside than it had seemed from the outside. And it was filled with hundreds of shelves, and on every shelf there were dozens and dozens and dozens of oil-burning candles. Some of the oil holders were filled with oil, and the flames burned brightly, but others had very little oil left, and it seemed that they were about to sputter out. All at once, an old woman stood before him. Her hair was white, and she was wearing a white robe. "Peace be with you, my son," the old woman said. "How can I help you?" The man who sought justice replied, "And peace be with you. I have gone everywhere searching for justice, but I've never seen anything like this. Tell me, what are all of these candles?" "Each of these candles is the candle of a person's soul," said the old woman. "As long as that person remains alive, the candle continues to burn. But when that person's soul takes leave of this world, the candle burns out." "Can you show me the candle of my soul?" asked the man who sought justice. "Follow me," the old woman said, and she led the way. Eventually, the old woman stopped and pointed to a candle. The wick of that candle was very short, and there was very little oil left. The old woman said, "That is the candle of your soul." The man took one look at that flickering candle, and a great fear fell upon him. He was starting to panic. How was it possible for the end to be so near without him knowing about it? Now, he couldn't help but notice that the candle holder right next to his own was full of oil. Its wick was long and straight, and its flame burned brightly. Now, the man stood there staring at his candle, which looked like it was about to burn out. And all at once he heard a sputtering sound behind him, and when he looked around, he saw a wisp of smoke rising from another shelf. And he knew that somewhere, someone was no longer among the living. He looked back at his own candle and saw that there was only so much oil left. And he turned to the candle holder next to his own, so full of oil. And a terrible thought entered his mind. He stepped back and searched for the old woman, but she was nowhere to be found. So he very carefully lifted the oil candle, the one that was full, the one that was not his own, ready to pour just a little bit into his own candle holder. But all at once, the old woman appeared out of nowhere and gripped his arm with a grip like iron. And the old woman asked, "Is this the kind of justice you are seeking?" That's a retelling and adaptation of Howard Schwartz's The Cottage of Candles. Yes, it's a little bit spooky, but at the same time, it is compelling because we want justice. We desperately want justice, and we can also be selfish. We strive to pursue justice for all, not only justice for me. And there are times when we fall short. We know that our time is limited. We know that our lives are filled with mistakes. And we know that we are capable of tshuva, of repentance. Tshuva begins with a sincere, honest, and often humbling reflection on our lives, to confront what not only we've done right, but to confront the mistakes that we've made as well. And when it's done properly, it's really hard. And yet, even though it's challenging and difficult, the process of tshuva, that sincere and honest reflection, is also what will lead us to the life that we hope to lead. And as the month of Elul begins, so do we begin that sincere and honest searching and accounting of our soul. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.